Well, good morning, everybody. Rob travels with Dottie here, with Dottie in the car, and we're off on a little adventure today. I've always wanted to do this. Almost exactly 40 miles from here, and I'll switch around and show you where I'm just leaving Artesia here, and I'll flip this around in a minute. I just wanted to show you myself and Dottie and open the video, but I know what you like to see, and here it is. This is what I know you like to see. The road, right? It's a cloudy day, and we are exactly. Well, I'm gonna wait to the I've got a mileage thing here, and I'll tell you when I get to what I consider the center of town here. I believe our destination in Roswell, New Mexico is going to be exactly 40 miles from the center of town here. The little thing on the GPS is showing 41. It's about to change to 40, probably before I get to the light up here. Anyway, that's kind of silly. Look up here on the right, Pecos Diamond Steakhouse. Just the outside of the building and everything looks like, boy, that's probably a great place to. It's closed permanently. Just last year they said it happened, and no sign that it's going to ever reopen. So, and I heard it was a pretty good steakhouse. I've heard mixed, but mostly I heard it was a good steakhouse. So why are we going to Roswell? Well, unless you've been living off grid for decades, you know what Roswell is famous for. It is famous for that alleged UFO crash, and I think it was 1947. And I'll tell you the brief story. And because we are going to the UFO museum in town. It has all kinds of information on this, quote, incident. Now, the basic thing is that a rancher reported something crashed on his land at night, and the sheriff came out, and someone from the military came out, and they found some unusual looking debris. And the next day in the newspaper, it was reported from the military they had found a spacecraft, and that was pretty big news back then. And almost right away, the military retracted that story and said it was a weather balloon. And that wasn't a story that was really being believed much, but it put the story to bed. Years and years later, recently, don't ask me what year it was, that there was a full disclosure of the investigation, and they said it wasn't really a weather balloon. It was a balloon device used for spying, and it was highly classified, and that's the official story. Well, there are many, many people that don't believe that either. The thing that makes Roswell famous is the widespread belief that it really was a spacecraft that crashed, and there were aliens in it, and they died, and they found bodies, and but none of that's ever been proven. And I was in Roswell. It was either last summer or the summer before. I think Bottomless Lake State Park is near there. I think I have that right. And I was staying there for a couple of weeks, so I was around in Roswell quite a bit, and I did not go to the museum because I was like not really believing that any of that is real, and it probably was a spy balloon or something. But since then, I've watched a lot of YouTube. There's some that are silly. There's some that, there are an awful lot of people that have credentials that are stepping forward and saying something very, very different happened from what the government is saying. And I became much more interested. And I've read reviews of this museum, and more than one person has said this. They said, look, whether you believe this alien stuff or not, it's, even if you don't at all, it's a lot of fun. It's very interesting. So I've always wanted, I regretted not going in there the last time I was in Roswell. Now that I live here, and I'm only, right now where I'm sitting, I'm 30 at Ritchie Avenue in US 285. I am 39 miles from the center of Roswell, where when I go 39 miles, I'm going to be basically at the museum. So the other thing that I have a memory of, I hope I can find it, is there's like this bakery, and all they do is local tortillas, and they're really, really good, and they're really inexpensive, and they're like, practically warm in the package when you get them. So I'll be keeping an eagle eye out for that place. And I plan to have fun. And now, I will ask them if it's okay to film, but I gotta believe it is, because I've seen so many YouTube videos on people filming inside this museum, so I can't imagine it's an issue. I'm using my Action 5 kind of on a little selfie stick thing. Maybe I'll just start filming, and it'll be obvious and overt, and if there's a problem, I'm sure someone will say, hey, you can't film in here or something, and that'd kind of be a bummer, wouldn't it? But I can't imagine. I just saw a YouTuber I watch all the time that I'm subscribed to just did one like a week ago, and I know he's not subtle about his filming, and he was all over that museum for like an hour or so. And I can't imagine why they wouldn't want it, because it's great publicity for the museum, right? So I haven't, since I moved here, I have not been taking this drive. And I can't remember, I don't think when I was here last year that I was on this road at all. So, oh, excuse me for yawning. I have no excuse for that, because I had a great night's sleep. And I don't know if there's going to be anything
Cleaned
interesting.
up a little bit.
Now, that voice there, if you're good, if you recognize that,
If that ever happens.
I don't know why that keeps happening. I think it's the vibration. But on my console here, I can play YouTube videos. No, I don't watch them. I just listen. But I'm listening to one of my heroes, Adam the Woo, and the channel is called The Daily Woo. And Adam does a video every single day, like I do. And granted, his are more interesting because he travels constantly, and is always doing something. And his video is more exciting only because he does this for a living, and he does it enough and has a big enough following where his ad revenue pays for all these trips he's constantly on. For him, it's his dream life. But that was his voice, because I have it on pause, and depending on how bumpy the road is, for some reason, it's a touch screen, but for some reason it bumps it into play every once in a while. So that's what that was, and it'll probably happen again if I keep yammering away on here. I think that with I'm looking at the little monitoring screen I'm recording this with my Osmo Pocket, what is it, Pocket 3, Pocket 4? But it's my Osmo camera, and the image of the clouds and everything looks cooler than it does in the naked eye. It looks really good. It looks kind of neat. But if you're interested in Roswell, in this incident, you can start watching videos on it on YouTube today. 24 hours a day, and I bet you'll still be watching in a month. That's how much there is out there on this stuff. This is for people that believe that the government is keeping from us the knowledge of extraterrestrial beings. This is the epicenter of those theories. This is the biggest one. I remember from that movie Contact with Jodie Foster, I think it's her father, the character in the movie, the father answers the question, do you think there are other beings, intelligent life out there in the universe? And his answer is a good one. He says, if there isn't, it's an awful big waste of space. The universe is a big place. And you could sort of go down a rabbit hole with that statement because by definition, the universe is infinite, right? Because if you say, no, it's finite, it's a certain size, then you have to answer the question, okay, when you get to the end of it, what's on the other side? And you said, well, nothing. And I said, well, isn't that what space is? Nothingness? Space really is defined as the space between, the space that things exist in. So it's infinite. Is it big? Yeah, well, it doesn't get any bigger. There's no bigger size than infinite. So then there are those that say, well, if it's infinite, doesn't that mean that everything that you could imagine exists somewhere? And you sort of noodle on that a little bit and you think about it and you go, that I'll tell you where I first heard that. An author named Douglas Adams. And you might not have heard of Douglas Adams, but I bet you've heard of his most famous work, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's a series of books with a central character, an English guy named Arthur Dent, who lives in England and discovers one day, to his utter shock, that his best friend is an alien and the Earth is about to be destroyed to make way for a hyperspace bypass. And his friend rescues him and takes him off the Earth before it's destroyed. And he goes on all these adventures all over the universe with this guy. And one of the first things his friend gives him is an electronic book called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which sort of accurately, or sometimes not so accurately, defines all the things that he runs into in the universe. And that's where I first heard that theory. Is like, if the universe is infinite, then anything and everything exists. And to make the point, they talked about a planet where the living beings on the planets were living mattresses. That's pretty absurd. But when you read the story, you go, okay, that goes along with the theory that if you can imagine anything existing someplace, somewhere, it does exist. That goes along with that. I think they talk about the infinite monkeys theory. If you put an infinite number of monkeys with an infinite number of typewriters, somewhere, sometime, they will type out all of Shakespeare's works by accident. That sort of, those ideas sort of play with your mind when we talk about the concept of infinity. But it brings us right back to, is it plausible that we're alone? Earth is it. There's nobody else living out in the universe that's smart enough as smart as we are or as intelligent enough to communicate. Doesn't really pass the reasonability test for me. Then there's all the theories of, okay, so if there is intelligent life, why are we not in contact with them? Well, in the period, the people that are really into Roswell says, well, we already are. They're just lying to us. So that's one theory. The other theory is that distances are so mind-boggling far that in space and the universe is so big that the distances are too great for us to ever contact someone else. Although there are, bazillions out there, there's just the distances are so mind-boggling huge. Then we have the theory of rise and fall of intelligent species. Now, we know all about the rise and fall of civilizations in our history. They're the Aztecs, the Romans, great civilizations that rose and fell and are gone. Well, the theory is that not just civilizations, but species have their beginning, middle, and end. And you have the people that say intelligent species destroy themselves, through nuclear weapons or pollution or whatever. And when you throw the element of time in there with the idea that intelligent species are short-lived, then the odds of being in the right place at the right time really decrease your odds of running into another species. But all this stuff is available online if you have an interest in this. And how far unrelated to RV life could this be? But I'd like to be a interstellar nomad. Wouldn't that be fun? You'd need something better than Starlink, but Starlink would be a good name for what you needed. Anyway, I'm looking at the landscape here, and in both directions, it's a whole lot of flat, absolutely nothing. I mean, nothing. So I'm going to turn this back on when we get into Roswell. I just turned it off, but I just came up on road work here. And it made me think to say something. And one of the things I really admire about New Mexico is that now that I've moved here and I've spent 2 summers here, this will be my 3rd summer, I've learned to appreciate road work in New Mexico. Why? Because they take such good care of their roads. Even the roads that are almost out in the wild, going through mountain passes in not heavily populated areas, they take their road work and quality of the roads really, really seriously. And so I'm happy to go slow, and I'm happy to wait. There's lots of times in the summer, and we'll see it this summer, because there's no way that I think they've been able to finish the road work they're doing on the pass between Angel Fire and Taos by this year. And you do have to stop and wait, because it goes down to 1 lane and you have to wait for traffic to come through, sometimes for up to 30 minutes. So you'll probably experience that with me more than once this summer, because I do, the closest Walmart and closest thing remotely to a big city is Taos to where, so I'll go into Taos certainly once a month to get prescriptions picked up, and so you'll be with me and you'll see that. And It's impressive. Anyway, I'll see you when we get to another 20 miles and we'll get to Roswell. I just had a little experience here that reminded me of something that I've always known but had not put it into words before. A real safety thing while driving is that unless the vehicle you're driving has perfect balance and goes straight on its own and you're on a perfectly level, perfectly straight road, what is going on while you're driving and looking at the road in front of you is whether it's one or two hands on the steering wheel, you're making constant minute adjustments to the wheel to keep your vehicle within that lane going straight. And I think it's important to say that it's subconscious because you're not conscious you're doing it. The way you can tell, which is what I just did, and it's a confession, I'm a little ashamed that I did it, but I want to pass it along so it sticks in your mind too, is if you take your attention off the road and feel like you can, because like right now I'm on a straight road and there's cars nowhere near me. So I feel like I can afford to divert my attention for a few seconds off the road. And when I did it, if it weren't for these rumble strips, and I think here I'll sort of go over here and hit it. You hear that? If it wasn't for that feature on the road, I think, and you don't see it here, but right here, there's a berm, I would have rolled over this vehicle and certainly totaled the truck, and God knows how much I would have hurt myself and Dottie. Because for a moment, I forgot what I already knew. So, learn from my embarrassing mistake. Roswell's coming up in less than 10 miles. So we're just coming into Roswell right here, just a couple of more miles to go, and we just passed the Roswell airport. And it looked a little bigger than I thought, so I had done a little research on it, and I found, surprisingly, their American Airlines has daily flights from Roswell to both Dallas, Fort Worth, and Phoenix. Pretty surprising, and maybe convenient. Maybe they're really expensive. I have no idea. I didn't do that much research. But I thought that was an interesting little tidbit. And clearly, okay, there's the sign on the right with the flying saucer says, "Welcome to Roswell." So we have made it to Roswell. About 4 miles to go to the museum, so that's about a 35-mile trip just to get into Roswell. That's pretty neat that it's really that close, and it was a pleasant drive. Dottie agrees. Dottie is sound asleep back there, not back there, but next to me. She's out like a light. And we have a speed limit reduction coming up to this light here. I did notice about halfway between there was a place called Roswell Correctional Facility, and I imagine that's a state prison, but I don't know for sure. If you know, put it in the comments. And there was what reminded me of it, that we just passed a sign for the Chavez County Correctional Facility. So I believe Roswell is in a different county than Artesia. I think it's Chavez County, and of course Artesia is Eddy County. Roswell Visitor Center. That's an obnoxious sounding little car. So now we should be getting, this is about to get into sort of Roswell proper here. Kubota. Is it Kubota? Those are like backhoes and things like that, side by sides. I bet, is that Chinese? I think I bet it's Chinese. There's the eastern state of New Mexico State Park on the right there. We got a little rain, huh? Do you see the raindrops? It's a good day to be going to a museum, right, Dottie? There's a McCoy's Building Supply. And I'm going to try to point out things that I think are interesting. Gas stations, which I need to stop at before we head home, because I am down to, it says I got 80 miles left, but the old F-150 is it's an 2018 F-150 3.5 EcoBoost XLT, two-wheel drive, 17.3 miles to gallon. It's not bad, huh? And just straight highway mileage is better than that, but we'll let you know what it is on Sunday when we drive the full day from here to Eagle Nest. And yes, I am headed to Eagle Nest for the summer on Sunday, less than a week. So the first video in that summer series, will be the road trip from here up to Eagle Nest, New Mexico. It's going to be about a 5-hour drive or so. I just passed a place, DMV Title Express service. I did discover in New Mexico that you can contract with the DMV to process DMV things for a fee. It takes the load off the regular DMV offices and ups the convenience for people. I did part of mine at the regular DMV and the other part through a private service, only because I didn't want to break camp and pull my trailer into the DMV office. So the private service was able to, for a fee, to come out to my to where I was parked at home. And hey, there's a bank branch there. Well, I guess it's not a branch, it's an ATM though, for my bank, WaFed, Washington Federal. Interesting. Didn't know that. What was I saying? Oh, so they came out and did the VIN verification for me. So that was worth it for me not to have to drag the trailer into town, especially since at the time when I wanted it done, I was still definitely recovering from my hip surgery, which is the recovery piece I hardly feel it anymore. But we went by Albertsons on the left here. There's a huge car wash, Enterprise Rent-A-Car. This is the center of Roswell, New Mexico. We made it. And it's only 10:30 in the morning. Where the 285 changed into Main Street here in town, and we're at Main and Summit right now. I see there's an Ashley Furniture. Museum, I think, is less than a mile from here. AutoZone. And it says the Roswell is the known place of the crash that happened in 47, but it was pretty far away from here. I think it was 30 or 40 miles outside of town. And there's no place, you can't really go and see it. I think maybe you can, but there's nothing to see. It's on ranch property, and you saw all the nothing on either side of the road between here and Artesia. It's kind of like that. I've seen a YouTube video where, someone went out and stood where it happened, and there's really literally nothing to see. And I think, it's there across the street. I think I could park here. Is there any reason why I can't park here? I want you to, can you see the lamppost? Look at the top of the lamppost. It's pretty funny. It's a little alien head on the lamppost. All right, so I will see you when we get in there. Well, it took me a long time to cross this street because, I don't know if you do this, but at my age I do it. I got down the street from my car and couldn't remember for sure whether I locked it or not. So, of course, I had to walk all the way back. But here we go, the UFO Museum. USF Museum Park. Thank you. And here's the museum itself. And I'm sure it won't be cheap. I'll let you know how much it is. All right. So that was easy. It was $5 because I'm 65. And okay, I need to reset it. I wanted to get the settings right, but here's the first display. And I got the year right, 1947. And what do we have here? And read that. Despite the fact that by 8:30 Eastern Time on July 8th, General Ramey had already announced the official story regarding the Roswell incident, identifying the crashed object as a weather balloon. At 10 that evening, ABC News Radio New York City broadcast headline edition, announcing instead the earlier story released by the Associated Press at 5:30 p.m., basically summarizing Lieutenant Haught's original press release from Roswell Army Airfield, beginning with, the Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. A few moments ago, I talked to officials at Wright Field, and they declare that they expect the so-called flying saucer to be delivered there, but as of now, it has not arrived. This rare surviving recording was discovered by Mark Rodriguez, Scientific Director for the Chicago-based Center for UFO Studies.
The American Broadcasting Company and affiliated stations present Headline Edition with Taylor Grant. Today's edition presents a roundup of the latest developments in the finding of a flying disc. Late this afternoon, a bulletin from New Mexico suggested that the widely publicized mystery of the flying saucers may soon be solved. Army Air Force officers reported that one of the strange discs had been found and inspected sometime last week. Our correspondents in Los Angeles and Chicago have been in contact with Army officials endeavoring to obtain all possible late information. Joe Wilson reports to us now from Chicago. The Army may be getting to the bottom of all this talk about the so-called flying saucers. As a matter of fact, the 509th Atomic Bomb Group headquarters at Roswell, New Mexico, reports that it has received one of the discs which landed on a ranch outside Roswell. The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazil was the man who discovered the saucer. Colonel William Blanchard of the Roswell Air Base refuses to give details of what the flying disc looks like. In Fort Worth, Texas, where the object was first sent, Brigadier General Roger Ramey says that it is being shipped by air to the AAF Research Center at Rice Field, Ohio. A few moments ago, I talked to officials at Rice Field, and they declared that they expect the so-called flying saucer to be delivered there, but that it hasn't arrived as yet.
That's pretty amazing. So this is new. I didn't see this. At 6:17, the Dallas, Texas Bureau of the FBI sends teletype message to the director, J. Edgar Hoover, informing him that according to military, a balloon is responsible for the reports. But they refute this explanation due to private information they have received previously from Wright Field. In another contradiction from the military, Ramey had early canceled the flight to Dayton after he identified the remains as a weather device in his office. Yet the FBI was notified later the flight would take place. So, and I tell you, there are a lot of people, credentialed people that have different stories, and this wall is all about all these different people. And this is what some claim the site looked like, although there are no photographs of it available. This is an imagining of what the aliens would look like.
This local rancher just brought in a whole lot of what you call it, planes and all like that at his place, and the sheriff thinks it might be some guys. Something. So, top secret. People to understand. Couldn't have been anything of ours. I mean, how the hell is that thing held together? Look at this. So terrifying. Just nice and feather. I mean, what the hell are we dealing with here? So friendly? Hostile? So dangerous.
Lots of Hollywood. Again, more displays that show what is imagined things look like, reports of what things look like. Four toes. There, lots of these displays are about other stories from history about aliens. And here's a summary of, over the years, what people have reported as sightings of aliens, what they look like. Remember the movie Close Encounters? And it's based on the classifications of encounters. The first kind are seeing objects in the sky. Second kind, um, details of interaction between the UFO and the environment, like interfering with car ignitions and electronic gear. The third kind is uh, seeing the humanoid figures, but no direct contact. And close encounter of the fourth kind is, and that's what they call abductions. Various pictures, genuine or not, who can say? But really, the most compelling stuff are the unclassified military videos of objects they can't explain. This is a pretty famous story, Travis Walton. It's an abduction story that was witnessed. Um, so these guys are in the work crew. These guys were the witnesses, and this was the guy that was abducted and disappeared for, I think, about a week and then reappeared. It's a really compelling story. Travis Walton. A genuine looking spacesuit. So we got to the end, and I think I'm gonna try to see what we might have missed going through here so fast. This is one of the cooler ones, I think. I'm showing you again. So this is about artifacts that have been collected out at the crash site, and I don't know if those are genuine or not, or mock-ups of them, but they're substances that, in one case, like number 3, they're military buttons from the 40s or 50s, which is obvious, but there are other things like plastics and metals that they have not been able to identify. So, in what they're supposing is that these are things that are extraterrestrial in nature, but it's not been proven.
During the early years of the Cold War, Walker Air Force Base was SAC's
This one.
premier atomic weapon base.
Army Air Corps
Walker Air Force Base
Class A uniform.
Minneapolis missiles were fully
You notice
operational.
it's Army Air Corps, not Air Force, because it wasn't Air Force, yes, it was Army Air Corps, as it was during World War II.
But first it indicated that this could happen. This moved it 3 days. This is not. I said,
This is the research library.
A-bomb storage.
These things are. Wow. These are clearly a lot of information here if you want to do research.
Oh my God, you just said.
Well, we'll do one more swing through the museum here.
How did the distance between that?
We'll go through show you the gift shop. Oh, it's quite big, as I imagine it would be.
I didn't see any.
And it has certainly started to rain in earnest. And you can see the Travels with Dottie vehicle across the street, getting a nice free car wash. Well, let's utilize this selfie stick thing and tell you that was pretty interesting. It wasn't quite as big and comprehensive as I thought, though. But if you stay there and read all those things on the wall, you'll be there several hours. But you have access to all the information there. Certainly on YouTube and web browsing and all kinds of things. So it was fun. It was worth it. I kind of want to show you the alien themed McDonald's here. I'll have to put it in the GPS to find it. I forget exactly where it is. Ooh, we got thunder boomers. Hear that? Rob's getting wet. Isn't it a good day to go to the beach? I think so. And who's there? Who's in this car? Oh, Dottie, it's friggin' cold in here. Sorry about that. I kept the engine, the AC going in case it got too hot. And it got too cold, didn't it, Dottie? All right, we'll check out UFO alien themed McDonald's. Well, I just missed a lightning strike that would have been just stunning. You can hear the roar of it right now, but it would have been right across your screen there had I had this thing turned on recording, but I didn't. So we're in quite a strong rainstorm here. I didn't get too wet. My glasses got wet enough so it's... Well, this surprises me a little. It says that the McDonald's Roswell McDonald's is 6 miles away from here. I'm kind of surprised. Does it need to be that fast? Maybe not. I'm recording it early just because if we get another lightning strike, I think it'd be kind of exciting to see that. Yeah, I think the UFO, there's lots of UFO branded stuff for obvious reasons. They want to capitalize on it. I was a little surprised by the research library. It was pretty interesting. So it looks like we must have passed it. And over on the left here, as we turn, we're going to see something because there's a bunch of police cars at this gas station with their lights on, 3 or 4 of them. And I'd like to see if we can get out on this, make this left turn. Yeah, I see at least 4 police cars in there. You can see that. Yeah, they're arresting somebody at the pumps there. So I'm going to assume that we passed this McDonald's on the way into town, and I just missed it. Maybe you didn't. If we passed it, maybe you saw it. So I burned a lot of time here, little change of scenery. So I followed the GPS to the McDonald's, and it took me to McDonald Street in a really bad part of town. So lesson learned. I went back to the GPS, put it in properly. There's 2 McDonald's here, and I'm hoping the one that is coming up on the left here is the one that is sort of alien themed. I hate to disappoint you if it's not, but it was like right down the street from where I was. I mean, like a couple blocks away. Pretty ridiculous. I saw, like when I was searching, I saw in the Garmin, McDonald Roswell. Well, it didn't say McDonald's Roswell. It just said McDonald Well. And I've never seen it where you can just route yourself to a street with no address. But that's what it did. It routed me to McDonald Street in Roswell. And we're passing the museum, and where I parked on the left. And if I had looked down the street, I would have seen the golden arches from the front of the museum. So I just drove about 10 miles out of my way for no really good reason. I just did a address forwarding order online to send my mail up to, starting a week from today, up to Eagle Nest, and then I just got an email that said, you haven't finished your order. But there was also an email hours before that said, your order is confirmed. So, who knows? I think I'll get something to eat here at McDonald's, pull over, eat, and park, eat, and check out what's going wrong with my address change. I was having a conversation with some folks a little bit older than me, 10 years plus older than me. One guy in particular, he's 89, he's about to turn 90, and he's really frustrated with the growing requirements of using online only access to get stuff done, like banking things, and he's really frustrated by it because he has no interest in having a computer. He barely uses his cell phone to make and receive phone calls. It's harder for I think older folks that just don't have an interest in becoming technologically savvy at this point. And all right, so here it is. And yet, while there's a Dunkin' Donuts with a giant alien next door, oh, there are aliens in the front there. Hopefully you'll see it when I pull in here. Yeah, they have aliens all over the front of the McDonald's. Then you see that Dunkin' Donuts with a giant alien holding up the sign. And there's going to be, they have aliens in the drive-thru, so we'll see that. We'll take care of that. There's the alien guy. So this is the alien McDonald's. So that's going to be it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you tomorrow. So I was sorry to to abruptly leave that fast, but I was coming up to the drive-in, and I was using the app. And I don't know, is it just me, or is the McDonald's app difficult to use? I find it very difficult to use. But I got 40% off a quarter pounder with cheese, which was less, makes it like $3 and something. It's worth it, but boy, it's complicated. Unnecessarily complicated. They can do much better. They really can. Maybe they make it complicated just to discourage you from getting the discounts. Who knows? But anyway, here's a proper goodbye. I'll see you in the next video.